transferring money. They couldn't be transferring money where they don't have an interest, because you are talking about capitalization.
Yes, but
you are not providing.
This money was meant to be distributed to the shareholders then existing. It's not that USAID was to hold shares in the bank, no.
That is all theory. What the official position we have from Bank of Uganda? We've got it.
They will have to show the allotment.
Yes, personally. Let's get more information from them. Somebody.
Thank you, Chairman. I need a clarification.
My name is so and so, blah blah.
My name is Dennis Twaiko, PhD.
From
Our Institute. I'm a consultant on the side of the cooperative movement. The one of 1964. I'm surprised when the Director Bank of Uganda says that he got communication this morning. So I need a clarification. This gentleman said yesterday he's from Bank of Uganda, and we addressed him the concerns for him to communicate to his seniors so that they come prepared. So I want a confirmation. Is this gentleman from Bank of Uganda?
No. Sir, please, you don't try to cross-examine people here. It's not correct. And just relax. Please.
That was my concern.
Yeah, and we don't want any embarrassment to anybody. The gentlemen who have come here, none is going to masquerade. They are officers holding different offices in different institutions. The gentleman is a director in Bank of Uganda. The one seated him is also Deputy Director, Mr. Iga, Bank of Uganda. So,
But Chairman, the gentleman has a point, because you have been giving instructions here to Mr. Iga that please pass this information to Bank of Uganda. But if that is his nature, that the information is passed and is not delivered, it may be pointing to a bigger thing. I hope the information, the direction...
Just ask Mr. Iga a question. Say, Mr. Iga, we had a meeting yesterday. Did you go ahead and pass over the information to the relevant officers? We don't have to make statements. We should ask questions.
Mr. Iga, you have heard. Did you deliver? Can you answer? You were directed yesterday here by the chair to deliver information. Did you do that?
Thank you, Chair. As you understand, we were here up to 6 o'clock. And by the time I left this place, the offices had closed. However, as soon as you directed that Bank of Uganda should find out which bank was closed, I communicated to my director. It was before lunchtime. So I communicated to him, and they started this.
Before lunchtime?
It was before lunch. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, any other question? Yes, Mike.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my interest is still in regard to compliance with the law. First of all, the Bank of Uganda Act of 1969, Section 29, says nothing in this act shall be deemed to relieve a bank or a credit institution from any of its obligations under the Companies Act. Now, when you go to the Companies Act, both of 1965, of 2012, it gives no permission for an entity to be registered in the existing name. Number two, in circumstances where there must be change of name, there must be a resolution, and that must be registered with the company registry. Now, I am wondering where, because you submitted, first of all, a certificate of incorporation of the 20th day of November of 1997, registering the Cooperative Bank Limited, which you claim, Mr. Ward, was in existence. The other concern is that even if these members were accorded shares to represent government, even the drawing of this agreement by the Constitution of Uganda, Section 119, should have actually been drawn by the Attorney General. It is a command of the Constitution, not a private lawyer. So, for me, the scenario of registration, first of all, of transcending from one company with the same name to another, I don't see a provision of that under the law. Before we go to who holds shares and who, because I am wondering how you even...
Why don't you do this, Mike? I think the gentleman, Mr. Wall, has heard that. What the honorable colleague is stating, let it be a question, so that we have a response from Mr. Wall.
Mr. Wall,
and don't say you've had a question.
Given the background of my story, I want to establish the legal regime that gave you autonomy to re-register or to register another company in the name of the existing one.
Same name?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. One, the Cooperative Bank Limited, that one of 64, is registered under the Cooperative Societies Act, not the Companies Act. And under that act, the registrar of cooperatives would give an entity permission to use a particular name. So the bank wrote to the register of cooperatives, and of course they knew the background of the changes that are going to take place, requesting for permission to use the name Cooperative Bank for the new entity that's going to be registered under the Companies Act. And he wrote, I think if we looked into the records of the bank, you'll find a letter from the cooperative, from the register of cooperatives, allowing that an entity with the name Cooperative Bank may be registered under the Companies Act. They were giving them permission to use that name, because you cannot use the name Cooperative without the permission of the register of cooperatives.
The permission
Mr. Chairman.
From the registrar or from the shareholders or directors of the existing company? Who gives permission in?
The shareholders requested for that permission from the registrar, because the name could not be used without the registrar of cooperatives societies permission under the law.
Mr. Chairman, can I seek further clarification on that?
If the member is complete, your colleague has finished, then you can go to you. Have you
the same
finished?
issue?
No, the story could be flowing. I need to have that provision under the Cooperatives Act. And number two, I would appreciate the permission or evidence of the permission being granted, not only by the registrar, but by the shareholders of the existing company. For me, that is what is most important, because I don't think you can simply apply for a name without consulting the ones who are what? There must be a managed. Yes.
I think it can be found if you looked into the records of the bank, because that's the same copy of that same permission that was attached by Dr. Isha when he was going to register the banking company. So that's how I think the register of companies allowed that one to. But as I said, during general meetings, shareholders would be appraised of what was happening and what steps were being taken, what agreements have been reached with the central bank, what milestones central bank, and the USAID have set, for the bank. They were aware.
Honorable, then Honorable Juche. Just let the members have clarification, then we can get back to you.
I just want to be clarified one small thing. These cooperators of 1964 appeared not to know that they had shares in the new company you formed. Is USID aware that they were also having shares?
Well, I think it takes us back to, what I think the chairman said, that Bank of Uganda will have to bring evidence of allotment of those shares.
Can I ask the director, yes. Mr. Ward, can I ask the director, what is the source of that information you've just given to the committee?
Mr. Chairman, I got it from my internal records.
Sorry?
I got it from my internal records.
Your records?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but of course you could have got it from not any other than your records. But what is the document source of that information?
Well, it's an internal memo. I wouldn't...
What does that internal memo say?
Mr. Chairman, the subject of this internal memo is problems of the cooperative banks.
Yes.
And it highlights a number of issues, and it was being originated by the director.
It is dated when?
It's dated 6th of April 1999.
Yes. Go on.
And then it is addressed to the governor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no, I just want that particular aspect which talks about that shareholding, whatever it is.
Can I read the...
Just can you submit to the chair? Because I go through it. If there are any confidential information, I know how to handle it.
I think...
Can I have that memo, please?
So if we went to USID, they will be in a position to tell us how they have also lost their shares.
Chair, I want to refer you to Cooperative Societies Act Cap 112. When you look at section 11, that is provision regarding the name of a registered society.
If we may listen, colleagues.
Provision regarding the name of a registered society. Subsection 1 says, no society shall be registered under a name identical with that under which any other existing society is registered, or under any name likely in the opinion of the registrar to mislead the members of the public as if it is its identity. And when you look at section 15 on restriction of membership, it says no company incorporated or registered under the Companies Act and no unincorporated body of a persons shall be entitled to become a member of a registered society except with written permission of a registrar. This is now the scenario we are faced with. Mr. Ward, did you have any authority? Where did your authority, under which legal regime did you base your authority to do that?
As you said, you clearly stated that no society would be registered with a similar name. So the Cooperative Bank Limited registered in 1964, the Cooperative Society registered with that name. The banking company is registered under the Companies Act. So there is a little difference there. That's why the board sought the permission of the registrar to use the word cooperative in a company. So the other one tells you that no society shall be registered But there's already a society.
I think what you are saying, Liga, is correct. However, there is no reason why a registrar should allow a name of an existing cooperative to be registered, because that would mean that it is actually oblivious of the provision of Section 11. Because what he's trying to do is now to authorize two entities with the same name to confuse the public. Because if you are, all of you are like, and when you look at the name itself, it is the Cooperative Bank Limited. Nothing that changes. So you have two Cooperative Bank Limited. And let me tell you why this is become, it's not about just a name. It has gone to the core of which bank was actually closed. Because that's the substance now. We are faced with the two banks. We now must ascertain which of these banks was closed. And this document, colleagues, is very useful, but has many other factors which we have to look at internally, because I'm always conscious of confidentiality. But we are going to retain this memo because we are going to discuss it internally. It has details which might help us. We would have discussed it with you openly. Unfortunately, we can't because the press is here and so on. But the question seems now to be a little bit bigger than we actually thought it was.
Chairman, I'm in a total agreement with you over that issue. It has occurred even in the process of legal practice when the liquidator has tried to sue people claiming that they owed the bank money. And the answer has always been, I did not do business with that entity. I did business with others. So you know capacity to. So it's a very important thing that it was very unfortunate that in the process of transition was truncated by the closure.
Do we have a bank?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, before my two
I don't know whether you're about to allow me to speak.
We don't have to grab the microphone. Do we have a court decision on that?
No.
Okay, then we can hand it on with there is no court decision. Yes, the Honorable Tuan, Honorable Mijuche.
Mr. Chairman, I was just wondering, with all due respect, if I may know the profession of Mr. Owo, because it would guide the question I would want to ask.
I'm a lawyer by profession.
Okay, that even makes it interesting. You see, in intellectual property, names are protected for reasons. The first is to prevent another company successfully holding or passing on like another. It is very deliberate. That is why when you are incorporating a new company, you first begin with a search at the registrar of companies. If the names are similar or they are likely to confuse the unsuspecting members of the public, that name is denied. That is why in practice we request for 3 or 4 names. You know, I'm glad you're a lawyer. You know this case of, I don't remember the exact citation, but Raleigh. Raleigh is a company that makes bicycles, Raleigh with ARA. But there was another company that was incorporated also for the purpose of making bicycles. This one now was Raleigh with L. And with L, but still making bicycles, not cosmetics, not perfumes. If it was making perfumes and cosmetics, you would say it's okay. Someone who would walk into the shop would say, I need this Raleigh lotion. But for someone to walk in a shop and with the genetic composition, someone would easily say L instead of ARA. Like my friend Kasibande, they now call Rubaga with L, and yet traditionally it is with ARA. So as a lawyer, yeah, traditionally it is with ARA, it is ARA. No. Okay, even if we leave Rubaga, Mr. Chairman, even road, this one where you move with the vehicle, they still prefer to call it with L and abandon the ARA. So this is grave, and people are crying foul. People are crying foul that you can register two institutions, same name, same product, same time frame, the other one is not. This is very strange, and you should address your mind as senior counsel. This is grave.
Thank you very much, member. I'm aware of all that you are saying, but let's have the background of this thing. These are the same corporate shareholders who agreed that they don't want to lose the identity of their institution and asked, if possible, that new bank should be registered with the same names. That's why the board went to the registrar of cooperative societies to obtain that permission. It was the same shareholders. They wanted to retain the identity of...
But Chair, you asked who are those shareholders? They are here. Can any of them confirm? Was it in writing? And then is what you're saying, was it backed up by the law?
And further to that, that is exactly where the fraud is. Because why would you want to? It's like the Crane Bank wanting to incorporate another Crane Bank for whatever reason. That is exactly where we are crying foul.
No, there was no foul.
And if you would also answer to me before I forget, USAID, is it this United States agency for what? These ones which are around giving relief, giving cooking oil marked not for sale, are they the ones who are the shareholders in this cooperative bank? USAID. Under which
USAID has never been a shareholder of Cooperative Bank.
No, but it's stated.
That's Bank of Uganda. That's why I'm asking Bank of Uganda to provide them for the evidence. You know? And everybody knows that the money that was being put in the bank was a grant aimed at recapitalizing the bank. It was a grant. It was not for USAID to hold a financial interest in the bank. The background of it, Mr. Kabogo Irunda, they used to sell oil under public for...
Okay. Let's do one thing. Adrenaline doesn't have to rise. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to see how we get over this challenge. Because the people who come here as shareholders of the defunct bank must prove to us that actually they are the shareholders of that bank. If these people who are now here as cooperators do not have locus before us, then we dismiss them. Then we said the people whose bank was closed are these ones mentioned by Bank of Uganda. Their remedy, how Bank of Uganda took over the assets and so on, does not lie here. It lies in a different place. However, for us, we are trying to find out these people who are here, do they have a right to be here? Two, as you do realize, the first confusion arose out of floating the same name. And Bank of Uganda recognizing and licensing this new bank. The original shareholders are now saying, no, that is not our bank. But then the new bank's assets and maybe liabilities were taken over by the 1997. That fraud, we are not going to go into it here, please. That is between you outside here, because that's not part of the audit objective. So I do think the issue about the name, we know whatever we want to know about it. What is still in my mind, at least, maybe we'll go back to Bank of Uganda. Did you issue the licenses annually at that time?
Yes, Chair. That time, yes, but now, no. Since 2004,
yes,
we no longer issue annual license. Before 2004, we were issuing banks were renewing annually.
So this bank you issued the license was as it is in this memo.
Yes, Chair.
That means they not your bank. Okay? That means not your what? Your bank. So I am about to dismiss you from here.
So the owners of the bank are not.
So if Mr. Chairman, two things before you make your final decision on this matter, which is almost being exhausted. So these people before us, in a likely event that it is not their bank, have you been renewing your license? I think I need answers on this. It's important. Yeah, as whoever is responsible. And then, Mr. Chairman, through you, if BOU could help dispose of the issue of USAID, because Mr. Senior Counsel was saying that that USAID has never been a shareholder. Bank of Uganda has just told us that USAID had 39% of the shares. Those of us who are growing up those days, we need to be told whether those oil they were writing not for sale, they were using the money of some people to hold out that is for free, when some other people are unjustly enriching themselves. If this issue, these two contradictions between those two good friends seated together, if we could dispose it of so that...
I don't want to go into this the details of this memo, but the 39.7 were being held in trust for, you said, they are not directly, but I don't want to go so much in this memo.
For cooperatives.
No.
Cooperatives.
Because I might release more of what is contained in this document, but I want to imagine it was a confidential document. But that's not the correct position, Mr. Ward.
Chair, I think I'm lost. I need some clarification also. Chair. Chair, I need some clarification on this document of registration that we got, where Mr. Kalema has 10%, the rest have 10%. And the document that has been given to us from Bank of Uganda does not have these people.
No, you see, these are called the subscribers shares at the time of incorporation. And as you look at this, the shares are 40 million shares. Those which have been subscribed to are less than 100. Of 10.
These are 70.
70. So after this, you go to the process of allotment. And during that allotment, you now go back how many shares have been authorized by the articles and memorandum to be allotted. So allotment and subscriber shares are different. So this is for purposes of registration.
So this is the company, this is the bank which was closed.
Sorry? That's the bank.
This is the bank which was closed.
Yes.
Not the other one of our cooperatives.
No.
Okay.
Just one more. If the shareholders here could tell the committee whether they have been getting dividends, and when was the last time they ever received anything like that, and then what I'd want the committee or myself to pick interest is, why is it that wherever the name Kalema is appearing, there has to be problems?
But the Honorable Dongoto, let us limit ourselves to the issues as of now. Okay? Yeah. Yes, Betty.
Thank you, Chair.
He has heard anyway what I've said.
Thank you, Chair. For me, I'm still lost and I need a clarification from Bank of Uganda. We asked for the name, and the name to me could either be 1 or 2 or 3 words. But he has told us the people with shares. What was the name? Was it Cooperative Bank? Was it Cooperative Movement? Was it Bamgwasa Betty? What was the name of the bank that was closed, apart from what he gave us with the shares?
Don't be confused, Honorable. Ask him, Director. Get the question for the
moment. Mr. Chairman.
Ask him.
May I get clarification from Bank of Uganda? What was the name? We know that the practice in Bank of Uganda, they used to have memos. From that memo you have laid on the table, what is the name of the bank that you closed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, it was the Cooperative Bank Limited.
Mr. Chairman. No. Honorable Mijucha, please. You know,
I'm not
this side
sure.
we've been having a lot of, then we're not.
Not very sure whether Mr. Orr said technical people were asked to form a new company. And this is after it was decided that a new company, a new entity be created. So I wanted to ask him, who asked the technical people to form a new company? That was the question I've been laboring to ask. Who asked the technical people to form a new company?
As I said, we went through a very long process taking over 6 years, during which period US side, which had undertaken that it would give the bank capitalization grants, would set conditions for further capitalization. Now, one of the conditions it set is that an entity should come in existence that allows not only cooperatives to hold shares, but also can enable this entity, this bank, to be able to attract capital from outside the cooperatives because they may have certain constraints. So that basically the idea came from USID that a new entity be created, because as long as it was purely cooperative society, registered under the cooperative society, it could not allow in shareholders from outside the cooperatives. This matter was discussed in Bank of Uganda with the USID. It was put, the shareholders were informed. The board of directors who were part of the shareholders, I think 4 or 5 of them represented the cooperatives. At a board meeting was said, please implement the other milestone which was agreed upon for further grant of capitalization funds. And that meant bring in existence this banking entity under the Companies Act.
Mr. Chairman, trying to get somebody who has not spoken before. Nathan.
Thank you, Chairman. Chair, I think we have wasted a lot of time and yet we have an evidence here.
No.
The final chair, which was submitted yesterday, has a certificate of incorporation. The certificate of incorporation is stating the name of the company which was incorporated. And it is the same bank that the official from Bank of Uganda is saying it was closed. So I think we need to close the topic. The certificate is here.
Abraham.
Mr. Chairman, there is a group we invited here. I haven't had a word from them. Can we hear something from them? These people were the 10%. Was it Zigitamana, Zimamuanga? Can we hear from them also?
Chairperson, I just want to, because Mr. Orr was...
Do they disagree from what Mr. Orr is saying?
No, but we invited them.
I just want, because I want you to address your concern. Gentlemen, do you disagree with what Mr. War is saying?
Yes, I agree with what Mr. War said, because that's what's happening.
Mr. Chair, I think the point...
Let's finish. They are trying to answer. Why are you grabbing the microphone? Yes?
With Mr. War, the statement is given. Mwanga's concurrent.
Sorry, I didn't hear, Mr. Chairman.
The gentlemen we had, they have said that they agree entirely with what Mr. War
has said. In short, is a spokesperson.
So, Mr. Chairperson, Mr. Ori was signing on behalf of the shareholders. What I can say is was a witness. I think the point Honorable Biandara is raising, because for him was a witness, just now we have allowed a witness to be the one explaining. And Mr. Kalema just saying, I don't know even what he said. Because we wanted to get the background under which the Kaleman group came to form this company, which they asked Mr. Ward to witness.
Chair, when you look at these documents, the accounts of the directors, Mr. Ward was actually secretary to the bank. But he was a bank secretary.
That's why I said earlier on, but I was told that he was not a staff. That's what I was told.
Yes.
Chair, there is an information that may lead to the reason why these people formed the new company. There is an audited report of 1998 which shows the position of funds. If you compare the position of the funds before they took over the bank and the 1 year down the road, the position of the funding, some of the shares has disappeared already from the account. That could have been the reason. I understand, yeah.
It's here.
No,
you have to do them today.
The document here, I understand, yeah.
Do you have a signed copy?
Yeah, we...
As they look for a document, we want the other team, not the witness, to be the one speaking.
Management report.
Yes.
Can you hand over this document which you think will be useful?
Yes, Honorable Chair. The document we are talking about is a document of the Cooperative Bank Limited, dated the 5th day of February 1999, addressed to the Chairman and the Board of Directors, Cooperative Bank. So in the document, it explains that the funds forming, which were forming part of the share capital, kept on dwindled abnormally down 1 year down the road after the incorporation. Page 6.
Yeah, but how are we going to handle that? It might be very important to you, but for purposes of this process, I don't know how it is related.
Chair, I have a suggestion.
Yes, Honorable Mo.
Chair.
Okay.
One, in the document we got, it shows the shareholders, the 70%, the 10-10. But now, on the document that we've got from Bank of Uganda, it shows none of them was a shareholder. I wouldn't really see anything why we are holding these people here, especially
Especially.
you know, the old men. The old men. Now, we could handle this with Bank of Uganda and the Registrar of Companies. How the registrar registered a company which was already existing without a resolution from what? From the former Cooperative Bank.
Did I hear that there's a registrar of companies here?
Did you hear? Just ask, is
the registrar of companies around?
No.
Because we had asked him also to be around, because the legal issues which Honorable Mike here raised, Honorable Anita, we wanted him to respond under which circumstances he registered the same name.
Okay, he's not here. Because, you know, we had thought that tomorrow is going to be our exit meeting because we had booked our place for retreat early in the next week. If this thing can spill over, it can't even go beyond Monday, gentlemen. Because what time are we supposed to be? What day was supposed to be? Yeah, if we can maybe just reschedule the exit meeting from tomorrow to Monday, because Monday is the maximum we can go, because the days remaining will be very few for us to be seated and going through this voluminous record to write the report. But we shall take a decision later by the close of business today. So, gentlemen.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Don't say no, just raise the point you want to raise.
Mr. Chairman, we are going to meet this Bank of Uganda at the exit meeting, and definitely these officials who were, I don't know how they were picked to be in the new company. We may ask them questions, and can we, in a short spell, know from Mr. Mwanga and the others who were, how were they picked, or how did they apply, or you know, so that when the bank comes and we ask, we compare and see, why wasn't it me and it was him?
You were just there in Luero.
No, I'm just for example, you know, so that when the bank comes, we really have some idea. How come they picked so and so, and how did it come about? And instead of hearing from a witness.
Mr. Mwanga, how did you?
I was representing Ministry of Finance as the Accountant General at the time.
Yes, Mr. Kalema.
I was requested by the USAID to serve as a national service, so to speak, to help to try and help with corporate governance. This is USAID requested me to serve. I did not appoint myself.
No, because you are the ones who registered the company.
A question was asked. Let me answer it.
Okay. Yes.
We were asked, Ministry of Finance USAID, Bank of Uganda, to try and help the board of Cooperative Bank to strengthen corporate governance. That's how we came into it.
That was as a director for the Cooperative Bank, but now we're talking about the company.
Well, he just asked us how we became involved.
But I asked previously, and I'm asking now, what was the motivation of forming the company? Because you are one of the four or six.
Mr. Awo explained everything behind.
I want to hear from you as a witness.
No, I don't want to repeat what he said.
What was the motive? What was the motive?
Mr. Chairman, we have rules of procedure. Point of order. Mr. Chairman, you should not be protective to recalcitrant witnesses.
No.
And I want to use the rules.
What we don't
request for arrest.
Please.
Because a member cannot come and back on MPs. And the chairman condones it.
Chair.
Honorable Elijah.
Please.
So I'm citing the
honorable colleagues.
Which guys,
what we
all of
need
us,
is
including the
decorum
chair,
and mutual respect from us and
Order, Honorable Tom.
But there are rules. If Kalema is not respected,
you cannot back at a member.
Honorable Tom.
Yeah, that's what ends up. That's how we end up like this. He must also learn to respect given his age.
There are rules.
We would not be here because of their conduct.
Honorable Elijah.
It was not because of their conduct we wouldn't be here now. So you just can't come and be arrogant here when you messed us up.
Chair.
These old men here, you see here, are all suffering because of your conduct.
And you come and back at members.
And when you see clarifications, you just come and back at us.
Dr. Kalema, please resume your seat. Dr. Kalema, please resume your seat. Colleagues, we have always said, and I repeat this, what we need is to be patient with each other. What we need, Honorable Toe.
You don't protect a witness who comes back from honorable by lighter in a very unacceptable manner. These rules regulate even the chairman's conduct. So Mr. Wari cannot come and talk to honorable by lighter like that. He should apologize, or I will move that we invoke the rules. The chair must protect his members, not the recalcitrant witnesses. That is the spirit of the rules. Because this meeting with the chair alone cannot proceed. The members must be protected. What Mr. Kalema said is wrong, and he should stand up and apologize to Honorable Elijah Cooper for the language he used, which is unparliamentary. If our rules cannot work, so let us use other means which can work.
The vice chair here. It's not the first time Mr. Kalema behaves the same way to this committee. The vice chair is here.
Look at this old man. He should be in the village. He's here following something of this.
Honorable Sheila.
Chair, thank you. My question still goes to Mr. Kalema. In the document we have here, you signed as business consultant for Uganda Manufacturers Association. Now I'd like you to relate that with how you said would have picked you to sign on their behalf. And secondly, I would like to know in what capacity you were at Cooperative Bank, the one of 1964. What capacity were you holding there that allowed you to proceed? And in any way, is this related to why you are in Bank of Uganda board now?
It's supplementary to what Honorable Sheila is saying. Were you working with the USAID? And if you're instructed, was the instruction in writing?
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Procedure.
Mr. Chairman, before Kalema can answer that, I think he needs to first apologize. to the committee, not just to an individual, to the committee for his utterances.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Procedure.
Mr. Chairman, procedure. Me and my neighbors here, we are really not feeling well. Can we break for 10 minutes, sir?
Granted. 10 minutes.
I'm getting a vision of the Democratic Republic of Congo. What is going to happen in the Democratic Republic of Congo? It shall truly be something that looks revolutionary. This is exactly what I am talking about. That as
Governor, Radio 1 FM 90, NTV, Saudi Warehouse, and Bell Lager. Grab life, live every moment. Excessive alcohol is harmful to health. Strictly not for sale to persons under 18 years. Please drink responsibly.
I'm getting a vision of the Democratic Republic of Congo. What is going to happen in the Democratic Republic of Congo? It shall truly be something that looks revolutionary. This is exactly what I am talking about. That as you arise, according to the prophetic word, any small sign is an indication for you to prepare that now it has actually begun. Glory to God.
This is a live broadcast from heaven.
And thought-provoking occurrences that will leave you wondering and challenge everything about God that you have ever known. What will you do with one whose word not only reveals the inconceivable, it shines the light of hope to regions that seemed lost to utter darkness?
I'm getting a vision of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The Democratic Republic of Congo has finally elected a new president. An announcement few had expected.
The result could lead to Congo's first democratic transfer of power since independence from Belgium.
I'm getting a vision of the Democratic Republic of Congo just